A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to talk about career in sports. We have a series that's moving into different careers. So today the topic is sports. But before we begin, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your suggestions and your comments there. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do, and do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. When I talk about sport, I know it's a physical activity that requires a lot of energy, and sometimes it can be a competitive sports. In fact, most of the times sports are competitive and they can be an individual competing against an individual or a group competition like the sports of cricket, or in case of an individual it could be something like tennis. So, when we are talking about physical activity, a physical energy that is required, the planet of energy is Mars. Mars plays a very crucial role when we talk about sports, and the house that relates to sports is the 5th house. So, Mars and 5th house must have a connection. You will generally find, in fact most sportsmen who are of repute are very disciplined. They are very time bound, very oriented, and that discipline, that hard work is again the Karakatva of a planet called Saturn. So, Mars-Saturn combination is a good combination for anybody who wants to put in a lot of hard work and energy in the field of sports. Now, for those who want to grow high, want to be well known, it is important that you have a planet called Jupiter, which brings in its luck, which brings in the fame and the name that you require, because let us not forget, it is the Karaka, it is the owner of the 2 houses of the natural Kal Purush Kundli, the house of luck and the house of international name and fame, the 9th house and the 12th house. So, these 3 planets are very important as far as sports playing, international sports playing people are concerned. Now, there are many people who play sports for their fun, as a hobby, as a passion. Then the 5th house is the house that is very strongly working. But if you convert this hobby into one of your profession, then it becomes very important to check the 10th house also. Now, the 6th house is the house of competition, and the 7th house is also the house that gives you a public standing. So, 3 important houses that we saw were the 5th house, the 9th house and the 10th house. But the 2 houses, that is of competition, and 7th house of public standing are also supposed to be taken into account when you are looking into professional players. And again I repeat so that we are very clear, Mars energy, Mars passion, Saturn hard work, Saturn discipline and Jupiter that name and fame. All of them together will give us the very strong sportsman. I begin with one of my favorite, Sachin Tendulkar. Let us look into his chart. When we look into the chart of Sachin Tendulkar, we see that his 5th lord Mars, it is a Cancer Lagna with the Lagna lord, with the Yoga Karaka Mars being exalted in the 7th house. It is also the lord of the 5th and the 10th and is aspecting the 10th house, and it is with a debilitated Jupiter, but then that Jupiter is having a Nij Bhang. Apart from that, the Jupiter is also the 9th lord here. So, we see a connect between 5, 7, 9 here. Jupiter is also the 6th lord, 5, 7, 6, 9, and obviously the Lagna, because both Jupiter and Mars aspect the Lagna. Saturn, which is supposed to be the 7th lord, is aspected by Jupiter from the house of Saturn. Saturn is also the dispositor of Mars and also aspects the house of Mars in addition to aspecting the Lagna also. Makes him a formidable batsman, one who will be remembered through centuries. As I told you, a 10th house is also very strong and the 10th lord itself is exalted. So, this is very important. Again in the 10th house, we find an exalted sun. So, yes, that name, that fame is his to conquer. We cannot just say that it is only name and fame, because Saturn also makes its contribution on the Lagna, saying, giving him a very hard working kind of a nature, which I told you right at the beginning was something that every sportsman should have if they want to create a name and for themselves. I am going to now take you to the chart of Roger Federer. Again, for those who love tennis, they know that he is a player or has been a player to reckon with. This Lagna here is Leo Lagna, and the 10th Lord Venus is sitting right there on the Lagna itself. Let's talk about Mars, Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn and Jupiter together are there in the in the second house, that is the sign of Virgo, and Saturn and Jupiter aspect Mars. Saturn with its 10th aspect aspects Mars in the 11th house, and Mars with its 4th aspect aspects both Saturn and Jupiter. So, there is a very strong connect here that we see. Now, Jupiter, which is the 5th lord of games, is aspected by Mars. That house, 5th house of Sagittarius, is also being aspected by Mars. What more? Jupiter, the 5th lord, also aspects the 10th house. So, that makes him again a person who is very hardworking, industrious, and one who wants to attain a lot of name and fame through his career, international name and fame. And what makes me say that? Because his Lagna Lord is in the 12th house along with Rahu, which is again a Karaka of name and fame. So, we saw that the connection between Mars and the 5th house here should be strong, the 5th house, 5th lord, because then it makes a person a very strong player or gives him a lot of energy to play. Now, let us move into the last chart that I take here, just so that I can show you the difference between somebody having the passion for a game and somebody taking it professionally. We all know that Princess Anne of UK is a horse lover. She is one of the ace horse riders, and so is her daughter. She's been a part of the Olympics also, but she because of her duties and her commitment to the throne has not taken it up professionally. But she has an intense love and also is a medalist in that area, that is along horse riding. So, if you look into her chart, you will see that Mars is sitting right there in her Lagna, giving her all the energy that she requires. It is also the 7th lord aspecting the 7th house. It is being aspected from the 5th house by Jupiter, and also the 5th lord Saturn aspects that Mars. 5th lord Saturn also aspects the Lagna, making her very punctual, making her very disciplined, and giving her a lot of hard working abilities. She typically can go on for hours for riding, and she is very good at her place. So, the one connection that we see here is that the 5th lord is in the house of Sun with the 10th lord Leo, and there is an exchange between Sun, the 11th lord, and Moon, the 10th lord. That is it. So, she has not taken that game to a very high professional level, but she is very passionate about her game. We can see a lot of difference here, where somebody is very much a professional there and somebody who could have taken it to a professional level but did not, but is still very passionate about it. All in all, the planets that needs to have a very strong calling for people who are into sports are Mars, they are Jupiter and Saturn, if you want to reach up a certain height. The house is concerned for passionate players has to be 7th house in the 5th house, and for those who want to make it up professionally has to be the 10th house. Do write in your views, do write in your suggestions, your comments. Until we meet with you again, stay safe. थैंक यू।
बेल आइकन को दबाएं ताकि आपको वीडियोस की अपडेट मिलती रहे। हमारे वीडियोस को लाइक करें, शेयर करें, उन पर कमेंट करें और हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना न भूलें।